Alright.
Okay, what's up, guys? People of YouTube? My name is Ahmad, and you must be asking me why I keep inviting him.
Yes, hi, I'm Sam.
Okay, this is Nate, and welcome back to another video. Today we're discussing Harry Potter, the whole series as a genre.
Cinematic universe.
Have you read the books?
Okay, so all the Potterheads, before you crucify me for not reading the books, I haven't read the books. I've read the first book, and
FYI, Potterheads, in case you don't know, I've read all the books, I haven't seen all the films, and after this video, I will be sitting on it. Don't worry about it.
So I've only seen the films, and that's all. Yeah, that's where my knowledge of Harry Potter comes
Which
from.
is very limited.
Yep.
Considering that quite a few characters have been cut from the book to the movies. Alright.
Yeah, so, and also I didn't grow up with Harry Potter, like most of you did.
Like, I grew up with Harry Potter. I remember reading the book. I remember reading the books as they came out. I remember watching the films as they came out. So it was...
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can honestly say that I can, in fact, very clearly say this, that my love for books comes because of J.K. Rowling and the fact that she wrote Harry Potter, and I fell in love with reading books because of her.
Yeah.
And then she went on a tirade post Harry Potter, which kind of, let's not discuss that. That's an entirely different concept.
Yeah. So I first got into Harry Potter, I think when I was in 11th grade, and Deathly Hallows Part 1 had come out, and I knew there is a whole cinematic universe called Harry Potter, but I never watched it because you got to start from and everyone was like losing their minds because Deathly Hallows Part 1
Everybody was losing their minds. Part 1, everybody was losing their minds.
So Deathly Hallows Part 1 had come out. I was in 11th grade, and everyone was losing their shit because this was the last part of the.
The part of the last film. Like, it was the last two films.
It was the culmination of their entire journey.
10 years of.
Yeah.
I think 10 years worth, if I'm not wrong.
Yep. When did the first film come out?
2001.
Yep.
So the second film came out in 2011, so that was the whole 10-year thing.
Yeah. So when I kind of felt left out, alright, because
peer pressure.
Yeah,
the only time when peer pressure did something good.
Yeah.
Like, he was Harry Potter because of peer pressure.
Yeah, and thankfully HBO was running reruns of all the films.
Yeah.
So and then I started watching the films one after the other. Yeah. And I started with the first film, and then I could finally watch Deathly Hallows Part 1. And then Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out. So, and this was long back. But I recently watched all the films in one stretch during the lockdown. And I must say, it's something else, man. Harry Potter, I think, is the first cinematic universe we got.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there was Lord of the Rings and everything.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is not really...
It's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy. It's not really a cinematic universe. It's not 11 films. I mean, although if you look at Tolkien's writing and you look at the amount of detail that is... I mean, if you're reading Lord of the Rings for the first time, you'd feel like you're reading a history book.
Yeah.
Which is honestly what it is. Like, it's in detail.
Yeah.
Like, I have the books there in my bookshelf and you can see it's huge. Like, it's 500, 600 pages worth of science fiction or fantasy. So if they wanted to make 11 films out of it, they could have very well made 11 films out of it.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's a trilogy. But
so, like, before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think Harry Potter kind of laid the foundation for cinematic universes to exist.
It also ruined a lot of things for the book lovers because, I mean, my favorite character from the book, the character that I absolutely loved from the book, Peeves, is not there. I mean, if you're a Harry Potter fan, you know who Peeves is. If you've read the books, you know who Peeves is. But he's not there in the films.
Okay, who's Peeves?
Exactly. that is what I'm talking about. Like people who haven't read the book have absolutely no idea who Peeves is. And Peeves is basically a poltergeist who is basically Fred and George if they died in Hogwarts and came back to life.
Okay.
Like he just screws around with anybody and everybody, and he loves screwing with Snape for some reason.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that is like, I mean, for the ones who don't know, we have Arvind with us. He's behind the camera, and he's a big Potter fan as well. Maybe we don't know. He doesn't. He's just nodding his head right now. So in agreement anyway. So, but he's read the books as well, and you remember Peeves, and my biggest issue with the first film was the fact that Peeves was not there.
Okay.
And that probably set the tone for the rest of the films for me, where I was okay with the adaptation of the books, but then again I was like, there are so many things that are not there that could have been there, like so many characters that could have been developed differently.
Okay.
So many characters that I could have loved a little more. Like in the fourth film, Goblet of Fire, for example, where Dumbledore asked Harry why, like, this is, like, if you're a Potterhead, you've seen this meme at least some 15-20 times somewhere across the world. Like, somebody has sent this meme at least once a year. Every time, like around July 30th, you'll get this meme where Albus Dumbledore is yelling at Harry for his name being in the Triwizard Tower.
Oh, yeah.
But in the book, it's very clearly stated Albus Dumbledore asked calmly.
Okay.
That is not the adaptation from the book to the movie, right?
Okay. So, do you remember the first time you watched Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone? Why was it changed from Sorcerer's Stone?
Because Americans are stupid.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Because Americans didn't know what Philosopher's Stone was.
Yeah. So, where did you watch the first film?
I watched it in the theaters.
Okay.
The first film I watched it in the theater. My cousin and I, we went together.
Okay.
I was what? 2001, I was 10.
Yeah.
10, 11-ish.
I have 6.
Yeah.
6, 7.
Different generations.
Yeah.
So I was 10 and I remember going to the theater and watching this really nice film. And then reading the books. And
so you first watched the film and then read the books?
Yeah, I first watched Philosopher's Stone. I loved the movie so much that I asked my mom, where does this film come from?
Okay.
And then my mom like, yeah, this is the... So back then there were only 3 books that were published. I think 4.
Okay. Till Goblet of Fire.
Till Goblet of Fire was published. No, only 3 books were published. So it was The Philosopher's Stone, it was
Chamber of Secrets, Prisoner of Azkaban.
That was released that year.
Okay.
So my mom's like, yeah, you know what, it's based on these books, why don't you read the books till the next movie comes?
Yeah.
And I read the books.
Okay.
And that's how I fell in love with the thing. Like, I didn't know that as a 10-year-old kid, you're not worried about whether you read the book or you watch the film.
Yeah.
As an adult, you're like, you should read the book first and then watch the film because you're missing out on so much. And when I look back at it, now I understand what I missed out because I've read the book so many more times.
So that was your introduction to the Harry Potter universe.
So I was one of those kids who would actually line up for the books as and when they came out.
Okay.
Like I bought the books the year they came out. And I remember in school, I remember kidding with my friend, like every year these Harry Potter books are getting bigger.
Yeah.
By the time she finishes, it's going to be so damn huge that we won't be able to carry them anywhere.
Yeah. Goblet of Fire was a big book, no?
Goblet of Fire was a big book, but Order of Phoenix was bigger than Goblet of Fire.
Okay, so I was listening.
Goblet of Fire was 500 pages.
Okay.
Order of Phoenix was 700 pages for some weird reason.
Nice. So I remember listening to this podcast where this guy and I think a lot of fans wanted Goblet of Fire to be 2 films.
Yeah. I mean, it would have worked. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you've read the books, you would see that. Okay, again, they never introduced Charlie. They never introduced Bill. And the fact that Charlie was the one who loves dragons.
Okay.
Yeah, Charlie loves dragons, and he was the one who arranged all the dragons for the first task in the Triwizard tournament. All the 4 dragons.
Okay.
Right, and I mean that part was just skipped entirely. How Harry solved the second clue. It wasn't because of Robert Pattinson's.
Okay. Cedric Diggory.
Yeah, no, it wasn't because of Cedric Diggory that he solved the case. He actually was helped by their defense against Darkast teacher in that year, Mad-Eye Malfoy.
Okay.
Mad-Eye Moody.
Who's actually named Posto.
Yeah. So Mad-Eye Moody helped him. Then he gave him a clue, and then he was reading that book. And because Neville loves plants, he's like, you know what, you eat this plant, and then you have to go underwater and you can hear the thing.
Oh, okay.
So that's how he cracked the second clue. So there are major differences between the books and the movies. Like they're quite a big, like even the third one, in the third, after the third task where they're kidnapped and they have
they're inside, underwater,
and they have to save the right. So after the task got over, there was a big fight between Ron and Harry.
Okay.
Because what Harry had done was saved Ron and actually won the task, but what he did was he went back to save Hermione because the person who was supposed to save Hermione couldn't make it, and he went back to save her as well.
Oh, okay.
So there was a big fight between Harry and Ron, and the fight was you saved me, you won the task, and then every time Ron told the story of what happened, it was different.
Okay.
Like first it was they took us, they asked us to be part of the task, and then they gave us something, we fell asleep, and then we woke up after the task. But every time they're like, I fought like Ron was like, I fought mermaids, I fought these people and saved my own life, and then I saved Harry as well. Like these are all details that are there in the books.
Yeah.
I mean, no doubt the Harry Potter movies are quite close to what I expected them to be, honestly. Like I imagine Draco Malfoy being the sniveling little twat that he is.
But one thing is for sure, I think they got the casting of the principal cast right.
Yeah, they got that.
Yeah, especially when I was revisiting the films.
Yeah.
Like Harry and Draco Malfoy, for example. Like he's so damn good in the first film, bro.
Yeah.
So there was this bit of trivia I was reading that the guy who played Lucius Malfoy in the second film had to go back to the first film, watch Draco Malfoy's rendering of the character, and to see how much of a how nasty that kid was to kind of draw for his character.
Yeah. Okay, your favorite character from the universe?
I really like Snape. Like I like his whole arc of he's kind of the Dark Knight.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people would agree with you when they're like, Snape he redeems himself.
Yeah.
But then I personally think that Sirius had a better arc.
Sirius Black?
Yeah. Sirius had a better arc. I think Hagrid had a more important role in the upbringing of Harry, and he doesn't get enough credit for it. I personally feel that the fact that Snape hated Harry so much, like there is, I mean, okay, I understand his redemption and his love for Lily, but that does not stop him. That did not stop him from being a bully. Like he bullied Neville left, right, and center. And the reason why he bullied Neville was because he's like, Voldemort could have chosen anyone, but he chose Harry and killed Lily.
Yeah.
It could have been Neville's parents as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying he's the finest of men.
No,
but I don't know, I just liked his whole arc. And who's your favorite character?
My favorite character, I mean, I can't choose one, honestly. I mean, like I said, my favorite redemption arc is of Sirius Black. My favorite character has to be Dobby.
Okay.
because of the sheer nonsense that sometimes he pulls across in the books and in the in the fourth book. I'm sorry, I'm digressing from the movies and going into the books a lot more, because in the fourth book there's an entire chapter, or I think 2 chapters dedicated to why house elves should not be enslaved.
Okay.
And Hermione is on a mission to free all these house elves. And they start fighting with her because they're like, if we are not enslaved, what are we going to do?
Yep.
Right.
Because that's been their identity.
That's been their identity all the way while, all this while. So, I mean, I love that arc because it gives you a very neutral perspective on both sides of the argument. Like, okay, you want to free them because you feel what they're doing is wrong. But again, this is their entire identity so far.
Which is your favorite film out of all the 8 films?
Prisoner of Azkaban. Hands up. Like, I mean, that also goes back to it being my favorite book, Prisoner of Azkaban being my favorite book, and then Prisoner of Azkaban being my favorite film is also because of how well you had it. It was a complete film for me, like a proper Harry Potter film. It had the right elements, it had the right moments. It was, I think, the first time Harry realized that nobody is going to come and save him.
Exactly.
He has to save himself.
Yeah.
It was the first time he had an interaction with his father's friends and how messed up his father's friends are right now.
And also, this is the first time they got someone very interesting to direct the film.
Yeah.
Alfonso Cuarón was directing the film. I think the first 2 films were directed by Chris Columbus.
Yeah, Chris Columbus, and even though there was a change in Dumbledore, like we had a new Dumbledore, a new actor playing Dumbledore.
Michael Gambon, right?
Yeah, Michael Gambon.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were so many things that worked for the film. The humor, the fact that it was so dark and it had its moments.
Yeah.
Like you felt. It was the first time as a teenager that I watched that film. So it was the first time I saw something that dark, and I was quite enthralled by the fact that
I think they introduced the Dementors for the first time in Azkaban.
It was introduced in the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah.
I mean, they were there in the universe before, but they were not properly explained as to why what they were doing there.
Yeah. And also, Dementors were a metaphor for depression and all that. And
J.K. Rowling made that exponentially clear that it's a metaphor for depression. Like, she suffered through depression herself, and she wanted young kids to be introduced to something that serious at a early age.
Yeah. And the first 2 films, are very light and
I mean, okay, so
the tone changed.
Yeah, that was the first time the tone changed. That was the first time you could see the books going. You could see the story go from these kids are being introduced to the universe to the fact that this is the fate of these kids.
Yeah. I mean, in the first two films, like these kids are in awe of this world of Hogwarts and what they can do, the whole magic thing and stuff like that. But
I mean, you also have to realize that from a perspective of the audience, you are being introduced to the characters, you are being introduced to the world for the first time. So it has to be kept in a way that kids have to come back and want to read the book again.
Yeah.
I mean, if she would have started off with the 3rd book, not a lot of people would have come back and read it.
Exactly. And like if you consider the whole 8-film universe as whole, like the first 2 films were probably Act 1, and it was just exposition, and you kind of saw that.
You understood what kind of a threat Voldemort was.
Yeah.
You understood where you're basically watching the films through, you're experiencing the films through Harry. Like, that is your point of view. Like, what is happening? Obviously, you start to develop interest in the other characters overall. But I think the most important factor in the film was, okay, you have Harry, you have Ron, you have Hermione, and what happens to them is the most important thing for you. And then you start to develop these characters over time. Like, despite the fact that in the books, each of the characters are very well laid out, in the movies you don't have that liberty. Like in the books you have the liberty of filling in the character.
Which was your least favorite film?
Order of Phoenix. God, I hated it.
Okay.
Even the book I hate. Like equally. Like I hate both of them equally. Like a lot of people feel that the sixth book and the sixth film where Dumbledore dies is the worst book in the series. I don't think so. I mean, I think the fifth one is the worst.
Okay.
But I also have a feeling why I don't like the book. I don't like the book in the movie as much. It's because it's too real for me.
Okay.
Like I know it's happening in the wizarding world, but that's how the media is in our reality as well.
Yeah.
And how the politicians behave with us as well. I mean,
so this was the film where Voldemort had returned, and these people are refusing to believe that he has returned and that Harry is lying.
Yeah, Harry is lying, Dumbledore is lying.
Everyone's lying.
Everyone is lying, the whole school is goddamn lying because we don't believe Voldemort is lying.
Yeah, and this is the film where, what's her name? That god awful woman in pink? Umbridge, no?
Yeah, Umbridge.
So she takes over the whole school.
Yeah. One of my favorite arcs in the film was how Dumbledore sets up himself for death.
Yeah.
Like how he knows that he's aware of the fact that he's going to die.
Yeah. I really like Dumbledore's character also, man. Like, although like he had to do a lot of, like he was probably the only one who had the guts to do all that.
Yeah.
Like all his decisions were super tough.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people accuse him for raising Harry as a scapegoat and all that.
But then again, he knew. Like, I'm sure Dumbledore would have gone through what we have gone through much before that.
Yeah.
Like, he knows that there's a part of Voldemort that's living in Harry, and the only way to kill that is either he kills himself, Harry kills himself, or Voldemort kills Harry. And if Voldemort kills Harry, there's a strong possibility. It's a 50-50 chance basically, where if Voldemort kills Harry, either Harry dies with Voldemort's soul, or Voldemort's soul dies, Harry survives and he lives happily ever after.
Yeah. Since you're also someone who's interested in making films and all that, like if you had a chance to adapt the books, which book would you choose to make it into a film?
I'd start at the beginning.
Yeah?
I'd start at the beginning. I'd start with book 1.
Okay.
And I probably would cast Peeves first and then go to the rest of the
Okay.
That is how annoyed I was. Because the thing is, Peeves actually comes back multiple times through the story. Like in the second book, he plays a part in Gilderoy Lockhart being getting screwed up, and in the third book there's a part where he's helpful, and like in every book, in each of the books there is a part that he plays where he's like, take it. Peeves is a part of the film, part of the book. So, I mean, as far as I remember, as far as I've read correctly, if I've read this correctly, Peeves was actually cast for the first film, and then during the final cut, his role was removed.
Okay, because of the duration. Warner Bros. Does this all the time, man.
I mean,
like they removed Darkseid from Snyder.
Does not have Darkseid because why not?
Yeah, Justice League doesn't have Darkseid, the main one.
Right.
And your favorite character from Harry Potter is not there because of.
Stay safe, stay at home.
Yeah.
Don't be like us.
Yeah.
The reason why I like Peeves so much is because you kind of see the contrast between all the other ghosts that have kind of understood that that is their fate. Now they're ghosts and they're stuck here forever. And then you have Beavis, who's like, you know what, I'm here, might as well have some fun. Like he's randomly walking into the caretaker's room and flipping his cable upside down, removing the drawers and stuff. Or he's walking into some teacher's room and doing some weird shit there.
What did you think of Goblet of Fire?
It's a weird one for me. I mean, in the books, okay, again, I'm always going back to the books because in the books there are so many more details and there's so many more tasks. Yeah, Cedric Diggory's whole character arc is more deepening, and the fact that you see the World Cup in so much detail in the book, but you don't see that in the film. You have, okay, for example, the whole bet with Bogart and the Minister of Sports in the Harry Potter universe. They have Fred and George Weasley actually win a bet against them.
Okay.
And those sly guys actually give them disappearing coins. So in the book there's this whole section where they make a bet, they lose, they win, and then by the time they reach home they've lost their earnings because those guys gave them disappearing coins.
Yeah. Okay.
There are so many more fun moments in the book that I feel could have been adapted into the film. That weren't, probably because of the runtime of the movie.
Yeah. What was the major difference between Voldemort's arc in the book and the films? Did they miss something? Did they get it right?
They got it more or less close to what the books is. I just feel that in the books he was a little more menacing.
Okay.
Like there was a lot more fear involved around him. Like in the movie, like you just see this guy who can't beat this kid. Like that is by the end of the age, like he can't defeat a bunch of school kids. But in the books, you realize that he's actually more menacing, and he's actually managed to inflict quite a bit of damage. And the thing is, in the books, it's all about the school. But in the books, you also see the fallout for the real world. Like you see the entire wizarding world come to a halt. You see Diagon Alley empty. You see that. You see the London. You see London in general. Under a dark spell. Like the people who are living in London, they're like, we don't know why this is happening, but it's happening. You see, like in the books you read about, in the 6th book and the 7th book especially, right? You read about how people are just going around killing themselves and how much of carnage is being laid out because of the Death Eaters. And that the fear factor is a lot more for Voldemort. Like everybody is scared of even saying Voldemort. There are like 3 people in the whole. You see the fear, and that is something that kind of was changed. I mean, how he created the Horcruxes, why he created the Horcruxes, his past. Like it was touched upon. Like it was a fleeting moment. Like, this is like he was an orphan. He could talk to animals. Dumbledore visits him, asks him to come join Hogwarts. He comes, joins Hogwarts. He's very happy, and then he becomes evil eventually.
So all that is more detailed in the book.
There's a lot more detail. Like you see him actually kill a couple of animals in the book. You see him torturing.
Okay, so you see the whole psychopath profiling there. Like
you understand why Hagrid got kicked out of Hogwarts and how he became gamekeeper. It was Voldemort's fault. I mean, that was touched upon in the movie, but in the film, in the book, like he kind of explains why he did it. And then there's a lot more detail, like you understand why Albus and Voldemort don't go along with each other. Like you understand Albus is Dumbledore's basically. You understand Dumbledore's past and you understand how him and Grindelwald were best friends at one point.
I have some knowledge of this because of the other films that came out, the whole Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Dude, like, I was so disappointed with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and the next one. I did not see the next one.
You didn't see the next one?
Yeah, no, I was absolutely annoyed with them. Like, I mean, they're good films, they're great, and money-making schemes and all of it. Wow. But honestly, there is very little content to go on. Like, they've signed a 5-film deal, and they're going to make 5 films, and you're going to follow Newt Scamander.
Yeah.
Through.
So that follows the first Wizarding War, no?
Yeah, that follows the first.
Yeah, this is the second one.
This is the second. Yeah. So the first Wizarding War was basically Grindelwald and
Dumbledore.
Fine. I mean, this was like, I remember very clearly that was the first time they actually made it very clear that Dumbledore is gay.
Oh yeah.
Like when the first film came out, they kind of made it very obvious that Dumbledore was gay, and J.K. Rowling comes out and says Dumbledore is gay. And I'm like, I mean, it's pretty obvious. He's wearing purple.
Yeah.
And he's wearing that weird hat of his, and God knows what else is. It was very evident.
Yeah, I didn't like the first film. I mean, not because I had read anything or something, but the first film was just boring to me, man. Like, but the second film was much better. Like, I had fun because it kind of went back to Hogwarts. You haven't seen the second film?
I have.
You have? So
I have seen all the films. I've read all the books.
No, Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. No, I haven't seen the second film.
Yeah, so the second film goes back to Hogwarts and it shows all that. So I had fun watching that film as opposed to the first one.
I'll stick myself through it one of these days.
Yeah.
But I don't know how far I love it or like it in general.
Yeah. What's your favorite moment from the films? Like, top 1 or 2?
It's gonna sound very weird, but I think 2 favorite moments from the book. One is Sirius's death and Harry going through loss for the first time. Like, he lost his parents and all of it, but that was the first time that he actually went through loss that close to him. And I think the second favorite moment in the entire series is Neville finally growing a backbone and standing up against the entire dark arts shenanigans that they were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, in the film that scene was very funny. Like, he's just standing there and Voldemort is standing there going, hey.
I expected someone better.
Yeah. But in the books, right, it's actually quite intense. Like, you see him go from, like, even in the films it's quite intense. You see his voice grow larger. But in the books you have it happening simultaneously where he's becoming stronger in himself. And then you have Harry talking to Hagrid. So he's in Hagrid's arms in the entire time. And he's talking to Hagrid and telling him, you know what, just hold on for some more time. I'll tell you when to drop me. So that was missed. And
do you think if this was like a series, like Game of Thrones, would it do a better job in establishing all the characters? Like, if it got more time?
If it got episodes like Game of Thrones, I'm 100% sure that it would have done a much better job. Because one of my favorite things from the books was how they visited Hogsmeade every winter. And why Harry and Ron chose to stay back at Hogwarts every year. And they had to go back to their homes during the summer. But I would have loved to see that in the film. But again, 2 hours you can't really discuss so much.
Yeah. Oh, when did you watch the last film? I mean, of course, when it came out, but like, do you remember how it felt? Because it was.
I was angry after I watched the first part of the film.
Okay.
Like.
Deathly Hallows Part 1?
Yeah. Because I was angry because you left it at that point where he's thrown the knife and it goes through the thing and you've left it at that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see, as someone who's read the books, I know what happens next.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can't spoil it for somebody sitting right next to me, because then they're gonna hate me for it. Like I couldn't tell my friends, I'm like, Dobby gaya. Uska bye bye ho gaya. Abhi you see the next one they'll be putting one grave for him.
Yeah.
I can't say that to my friends watching the film. I was very angry with that. I remember watching the second film and it felt like my childhood was over.
Yeah.
It felt like a very definitive end.
Yeah. I felt the second film was a bit rushed.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was 2 hours, 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, if it was probably a 3 hour film, I felt like, since it was the end to a 10-year journey.
It could have been longer. But then again, I mean, honestly, it was fine.
Yeah, but when Harry is a middle-aged man and he's telling the kid that you were named after...
Yeah, that whole thing was so annoying. Even in the books, I felt so mad at it. Like, you could have chosen anybody's name. Harry could have picked anybody's name and he goes out and picks Albert Severus.
Yeah.
And I was so mad. I'm like, so Hagrid kya khana khane gaya hua hai?
Yeah.
And what about Sirius Black?
Yeah.
Like, dude just straight up gave his life for you.
Yeah.
Like, he died for you. What is wrong with you? Like, both Harry and both Albus Dumbledore, Sirius Black, Hagrid, तो poor thing, okay, from Hagrid, in the books, the first scene is Hagrid carrying Harry in his arms from his home where Lily and James Potter were.
This I remember from the books because I have read the first one.
Yeah, so that the opening sequence is first you see McGonagall sitting in the corner and watching Private Drive, and then you see Hagrid carrying this baby and then asking Dumbledore, why are you leaving him there? So I was mad at Harry for that. I was mad at J.K. Rowling for that.
Yeah. Were you unhappy with the whole Harry and Ginny love story too?
No, because in the books it was more evident.
Okay.
It was clear. Like, it wasn't like in the movies where Ginny's character is, the entire definition of Ginny's character is, I love Harry.
Okay.
That's not the thing. In the books, like in the first couple of books where she is introduced, she is very awestruck by the fact that it's Harry Potter. But then over time you kind of realize how much of a character that she is. There have been so many times she's saved Harry's butt from problems day in, day out. And the fact that she's the reason why Gryffindor team wins a couple of times the Quidditch Cup. Like, literally the reason why she wins. Like, Harry's a very good seeker and all of it. But Our Lady is going there and scoring goals left, right and center.
So if you were in the whole wizarding world, which house would you be in?
I'm pretty sure I'd be in Hufflepuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'd be in Hufflepuff because 2 reasons. One, they're right next to the kitchen.
Okay.
And secondly, they're on the ground floor. I'm not climbing 200 fucking stairs to go upstairs.
And these stairs keep changing also.
Like, I'll forget my way upstairs.
You don't know where to go. Like, even if you know, like, you'll go somewhere else.
No, but honestly, jokes apart, but I have a very strong feeling I'd be in Hufflepuff. What about you?
I don't know, man. I like Slytherin. I'm wearing green. Bro, I really like this. I keep quoting Voldemort. in my Insta stories. Like there is no good and bad. There is only power, and people who are too weak to pursue it.
At this point, I think some of our viewers are like, इसको ना therapy में भेजो, video में मत बनो.
Like he loves Homelander.
He loves, dude, like the entire boys video, all he did was talk about how good Homelander is. How much of a power trip Homelander is.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like I'm,
Bro, if you want help, pay for your therapy.
no. We'll talk about that in another video. So like I'm kind of mixed. Like it's either Gryffindor or Slytherin. Like it depends on the day. Like if I had a bad day, then probably Slytherin.
Degree is part of.
Yeah, like
that's
the only reason why everybody knows.
Yeah, because Cedric Diggory was. Yeah.
And Cho Chang as well.
Cho Chang.
Like it's a weird name. Like that is a weird name.
Actually, I have one question. Cho had more dialogues than Ginny Weasley throughout the 7 parts.
Yeah.
If you think about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That one girl who came and played that one love affair. What was about that? That's weird. Like, she had more dialogue than Ginny Weasley,
Yeah.
but still she ended up marrying him. Like Harry Potter.
Like again, if you've read the books.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why some things are still like towards the later half of the books.
Yeah.
Fifth, sixth.
I kind of feel like fish out of water because I haven't read the books. Otherwise, I would be like going all like Homelander on it.
Yeah, if you read the books, you'd go Homelander on the movies.
Yeah.
That's why you keep like, what do you think? Why do you think I keep bringing up the books?
Yeah.
Because I'm bad at the films. Like the entire reason why I'm making
Yeah,
this video.
this is basically a rant.
Yeah. Like the movies are long.
Yeah. But you have
It gave us Emma Watson though.
Yeah.
Cool with it.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. The casting is great. Bro, even the world building, no?
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty neat. Like, the production design and all
This
that.
was our MCU when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
We didn't have really Marvel Cinematic Universe. We
Yeah.
just had comics. We had one or two
Yeah.
Spider-Man movies here and
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Marvel Cinematic Universe started in 2008.
2000, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. When did the Harry Potter Cinematic Universe end? 2012? 11? Yeah.
11, 12.
Yeah. So, yes.
Okay. Peace. And that's all for today. We shall continue ranting in another video.